up? It's Cinema Shogun here, and you might remember the other day I told you all to keep your eyes on Egypt and on Turkey. Now, as far as Turkey goes, I wouldn't be surprised if they're no longer a member of NATO within the next coming months. Turkey is really opposed to everything that Israel is doing, and they are not on board with NATO at all. So I don't know what's going to happen there. So keep your eyes on Turkey. Now, as far as Egypt goes, Egypt poses a more immediate threat. Now, I told you all, I reported to you all over a week ago that Egypt has been amassing a significant military force, tanks, heavy military equipment along their border with Israel and along the border of the Gaza Strip. Now, today, they put out a statement that is really concerning if you ask me. They said, "We, the Egyptians, are ready to sacrifice millions of lives so that nobody approaches a grain of sand." So a lot of this aid that is going into Gaza is going through Egypt. What Egypt is worried about is that Israel is going to push all of these people into the Sinai Peninsula. They're going to push all of these refugees and civilians into Egypt. Now, this threat that Egypt is ready to sacrifice a million lives or millions of lives so that nobody approaches their sand, not a single grain of sand, to me that sounds like Egypt wants no part of these refugees. And that's something I am seeing everywhere. All of these countries are in an uproar against Israel. They're all mad about what Israel is doing, but none of these countries want to allow the Palestinians or these refugees from Gaza, none of these countries want to allow them to come to their homeland. Egypt being the same. But I believe this is also a warning against Israel as well. Because in Egypt right now, they're on high alert. They feel as if there's a possibility, I'm not saying this is going to happen, but this is what Egypt is worried about. They're worried that Israel is going into the Gaza Strip, that Israel is going to try to wipe out Hamas, take over Gaza, and all of these people are going to flee into the Sinai Peninsula in Egypt, and that eventually, when Israel is done with Gaza, that they're going to move forward into the Sinai Peninsula and try to take that over as well and try to wipe out whatever remaining forces of Hamas or the pro-Palestinians, whatever you want to call these people. They got so many different names. They belong to so many different groups and militias. You know, it's hard to keep up with what they're calling themselves, okay? But Egypt is afraid that after Israel makes this dismove on Gaza, they'll have an excuse to make to push even further into portions of Egypt, because that's where all of these displaced people will go. So now Egypt is gathering their forces to ensure that doesn't happen. And I'm wondering, like, what do they really plan on doing? If a bunch of refugees are coming into Egypt, are y'all going to shell them? Are you going to fire off on random refugees who are trying to escape from Gaza because of all of the, bombarding and bombing that's going on over there? Very interesting situation. Like I said, we are sitting on a powder keg, if you will. One spark and things are going to explode. And this region, there's already so many countries, so many different factions involved with what's going on over here. And now I see that there are tribes in Egypt that are threatening to gather their weapons and go to the border and force the border open so first aid can flow into Gaza. There's just so much going on here. And often you have the governments of these countries saying one thing, whereas their militaries and the militias are doing a whole nother thing. Because the reality is, a lot of these countries, even though they have governments and government officials, they're really ran by these terrorist groups or these militia groups. So you're getting, conflicting information and conflicting statements all over the place when it comes to this situation. But yeah, keep your eyes on Egypt and Turkey. Egypt is definitely, they're definitely getting ready for something. And I don't know exactly what that something is, but where are these people going to go from Gaza? And if these people from Gaza start pouring into Egypt, is Egypt going to carry out attacks on those people, or will they respond to Israel? We really don't know. One thing we do know, though, is that America just announced that there are over 500 American hostages still being held in Gaza by Hamas. Now, this number is really concerning to me. 500 American hostages? How? How on earth did they manage to get 500 American hostages? And it seems like the number of hostages, it's all over the place. One day it's 200, the next day it's 274, then the next day they release 4 hostages, and then the next day, instead of the number of hostages going down, it goes up, and now we're at 500 American hostages? I'm honestly trying to figure out where this info is coming from. Because the other day they reported that Hamas has, around 270 something hostages still. But now they're saying that there's 500 hostages that belong to America. There's 500 American hostages alone. And that doesn't even count for all of these other countries. So I don't know if they're making up these numbers. I don't know if Hamas is somehow gathering other hostages. I don't know what's going on. But I find it very odd that just the other day, the numbers of total hostages were under 300, and now all of a sudden there's 500 American hostages. I think they may be inflating the numbers in order to, trying to make Americans feel better about getting involved in this war. I mean, they very well could have 500 hostages. I'm not telling you they don't. All I'm telling you is that this definitely conflicts with the numbers that we've been given thus far. And it's not like Hamas is going into Israel and snatching up more people. So how we went from, how we got to these numbers, I don't know. I don't know. But I do know that in a time of war, the number of casualties and the number of hostages and all of this stuff that's being reported, you cannot rely on it. Because both sides will lie. Both sides will blatantly lie in order to get more support for their efforts. And, as I've said before, watch as they report these numbers. They feel comfortable reporting this many people died, this many people are held hostage, but they still cannot tell us the real number of people that were killed in the Maui fires, okay? So when they want to let you know numbers, they will, and when they don't want to let you know, they won't let you know. So that's one thing that we can definitely learn from this. But here's another concerning situation. We know that Lebanon has gotten involved in this situation. Hezbollah is fighting Israel. But now Germany has requested to send soldiers to Lebanon. The German embassy in Beirut has formally requested permission from the Lebanese Ministry of Foreign Affairs to deploy members of the German army to Lebanon. They want to do this to prevent harm to German citizens on the territory of the Lebanese Republic, and they want to try to rescue them whenever they are in distress. So other countries are literally reaching out to Lebanon, and they're reaching out to other countries asking, hey, can we send our military there to protect our people and to evacuate our people? All of these other countries are doing that. America, not so much. Maybe America's doing it, but they're definitely not reporting on it. So now it looks like German soldiers are on the way to Lebanon, and that might not be a big deal. Maybe they'll just be there to help, get their people out of Lebanon. But when you have a war going on, anything could happen. So we don't want anything to happen to these soldiers that would draw Germany in even further. And speaking of getting drawn in this war even further, Hamas has started posting videos of them shooting freaking I didn't even know Hamas had these type of weapons, but Hamas has posted videos of them shooting off torpedoes. Now, I don't know if these torpedoes are capable of reaching our U.S. ships. I'm sure that the U.S. maybe has the technology to shoot these torpedoes right out of the water, before they hit one of our ships. But it's a time of war. Anything could happen. And this just ups the scale. It ups the ante. Now Hamas is out here firing off torpedoes. All it takes is for one small thing to happen to one of our ships. One small thing happens to one of our ships, and oh boy, the world's going to be on fire. And I know what you're thinking. Hamas torpedoes? No way they'll take out an American battleship. Yeah, you're right. Unless maybe America wants that to happen, so they have a better excuse to go balls to the wall crazy over them in the Middle East, which I can tell you right now, it looks like they're planning on doing. America is going to need an excuse. Don't get me wrong. We're already sending the troops. We're already sending the equipment. We've already sent the ships. We've already sent the fighter jets. Now, all America needs is one small thing to happen for us to have an excuse to light the Middle East up. And that's what America's waiting on. And if it does not happen naturally, America will make sure that it happens. Because if America wants war, America's going to get war. And you're not sending over all of these troops and all of this equipment for no reason. It looks like America has already decided that, hey, regardless of what happens, we're going to go ahead and turn this into, the big next conflict. So, folks, all I'm saying is, now that we're watching these ballistic missiles get fired from Yemen, Hamas is shooting off torpedoes. Any day now, something can strike one of our ships. And then, you should know what happens from there. I don't even feel like I should have to describe it. But you describe how you feel about all of this down in the comments below. If you're feeling generous, you can support my channel via Super Thanks, or you can support my channel for free by sharing this video, hitting that like button, subscribing, ringing that notification bell. And as always, I'll talk to you all soon in the next video.